valuable metal for Jay's Towing MKE LLC at 3950 North Holton Street, number 101 DT. We've heard this, I think, at least once before. Please raise your right hands to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury in the state of Wisconsin that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Julio Arias, 3950 North Holton Street.
Do you acknowledge receipt of notice of this meeting with the possibility it could be denied?
Yes, I do.
Who's with you here?
Yeah, my partner is going to be dealing with an everyday non-consensual towing.
If you could introduce yourself, just
Joel Flores.
and make sure your microphone's in front of you. Your name and address, please.
My name is Joel Flores. My address is 1945 North First Street.
Thank you. Are there any holds?
Hold for occupancy.
Their police report?
On 7/13/2013, the applicant was charged in Milwaukee County with battery. It was amended to disorderly conduct. There was a guilty finding with a fine. On 9/4/2013, the applicant was cited in the city of Milwaukee at 2920 North 4th Street for disorderly conduct. There was a guilty finding with a fine. On 5/27/2014, the applicant was cited in the city of Milwaukee at 3045 North 2nd Street for disorderly conduct and vandalism. There was a guilty finding in both with a fine. On 8/8/2014, the applicant was charged in Milwaukee County with possession of a firearm by a felon. There's a guilty finding with 200 days house of correction. On 7/8/2017, the applicant was cited in the city of Milwaukee at 2026 South 29th Street for sale, discharge, use of fireworks. That was guilty finding with a fine. And on 9/15/2017, the applicant was charged in Milwaukee County with threat to law enforcement officer and battery or threat to a judge, prosecutor, or law enforcement officer. It was amended to disorderly conduct with a guilty finding with 60 days house of correction.
I believe we did discuss that last time, didn't we? So we don't need to repeat that. We held this because we wanted you to have discussions with Riverworks.
Yep.
Have those discussions occurred?
Yes, it did.
Tell us about them.
Well, he said that he doesn't have a problem. He's not going to...
And who he is?
Daryl?
Okay.
He did forget or something that he did speak to me about the situation. So he said he's not going to go with it or not.
Well,
he's basically staying biased. He's leaving it alone.
So is there anyone here to testify on 3950 North Holton? Anyone here to testify?
I am.
All right. Well, you can come forward. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You solemnly affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury in the state of Wisconsin that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Your name and address, please.
Tiffany Miller. May I get my business address?
Yes, you can.
339 West North Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53212.
And your testimony?
I would like to let you guys know about a situation that happened. One of my interactions with Jay's Towing and the irresponsible behavior that his business conducts. My car was parked in front of my business, the Brownsville Collective, MKE. I can't even remember the date. It was in February.
February 12th.
And we heard like a car crash. Accidents happen all the time. I didn't think anything of it. My business partner and her friend that just arrived at the store was like, "Hey, Tiffany, your car got hit." We go out. There's an unattended car that's fully locked. The steering wheel was wrapped with the seatbelt, which was odd for us. My car had front, side, and front end damage, and my friend's car was hit. My car was actually moved up against the curb. We didn't see anybody. At the same time, a police officer was driving by. We were able to flag him down, so there is no 911 call. He stopped, started investigating, asking us questions, and 15 minutes passed by, and we see this tow truck come up on the other side of North Avenue, and we're like, that was kind of fast. I didn't even know the police officer, called the tow truck. That's when Jay's Towing, the owner of Jay's Towing, walks across the street, laughs like, "Ha ha ha, my bad, that's my car." So they dropped the car. They dropped a car from their towing truck, which damaged my car to the point where it got totaled out. During the process of questioning, he was offering me $500, $1,000, really disrespectful and demeaning towards myself, my business partner. More officers came to help out. It was a really, just emotionally traumatic event because he wasn't owning up to his lack of care and responsibility for what he had just did. The officers had to intervene. He was being real obscene, taking pictures. At the same time, full transparency, my business partner went live at the time and was talking about the event and recording how disrespectful he was. It got so bad that I needed to go back into my business to just be away from him. Later on, he posted, he looked up my VIN number, posted, I had a lien like everybody else does in the city of Milwaukee on their car. So he posted that information via Facebook. Even dealing with his insurance company, well, you got to do that. It wasn't, to me, the process wasn't legit, and I ended up going through my insurance company to deal with everything. They're still trying to recover some finances from his insurance company to recompensate myself for the deductible, but I wouldn't approve any license for this business because of how they handle. I've never heard of anybody dropping a tow truck, a towed car from a tow truck,
And
especially in our area.
He left the scene without a note?
He left the scene.
For how long?
15 minutes. 15 minutes passed. My business is located on the corner of Bell Phillips and North. It's a high traffic area for pedestrians and vehicles. Our friend had just entered the business not even 2 minutes before this accident occurred, and they parked right in front of me. He could have gotten injured. I could have been leaving my car. Pedestrians are there all the time. So from a safety standpoint, I just worry about this business being placed in another high traffic area and the potential for people to get injured and have to deal with someone who is just lacks care and responsibility for property and for people.
Questions from committee? I'm familiar with your business. It's an excellent addition to the street. Obviously, we're going to give you a chance to respond. You sounds like you know the incident well. Why don't you tell us what happened from your perspective?
Okay, so on February 12th, it was one of those cold days where it was real cold. It was snowing incident. So what I did is I strapped the vehicle. Obviously, straps, everything. You know, it's wet. So it must have slipped off. I'm driving, didn't notice the vehicle.
This is a tow truck with one car on it?
Only one truck.
And what are you turning?
No, I was just driving.
On North Avenue?
Yep, North Avenue, going towards my shop, which is 3 miles away, which has nothing to do with non-consensual towing license anyway. But 3 miles away, so I go there, noticed that the vehicle wasn't there, so I re-rat.
So you didn't even notice it
I didn't
pulling
know.
off?
I didn't know.
So you had to go back and retrace your
Yep.
steps and
And
look?
then I come to her like, hey, I apologize. I didn't know. It was me who did it. They didn't know. Nobody knew nothing did it. I came back and said, hey, I did it. You know what I'm saying? I told her, hey, I'm willing right here to offer you whatever you want from $500, $1,000. I didn't damage her whole car. Her whole car got totaled because of rust and everything from the other sides, which I have pictures all on my phone. And the incidents she was speaking about is my insurance. My insurance is fighting with her insurance because I only damaged the door. I Kelly Blue booked the car. The car was worth $2,500. I offered her $1,000, $1,500 on the spot just for the door. She like, no, I didn't want to deal with it. Got disrespectful. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, you know what, cool. I understand you upset. You understand you're mad. But I don't have to go through my insurance to this. I'm capable of paying out my pocket for the situation. I offered them service for transportation while it happened. I offered her, I spoke to her sister that night, told her that, hey, I'm apologized. We literally were on the phone for an hour. I even called her, told her I was on my way to Dominican Republic. Hey, you want to deal with this didn't deal with this issue? She's like, well, just contact your insurance. They'll deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But the situation about me posting the stuff, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie I didn't. But that became from when she went live and posted on her Facebook saying that, hey, everybody leave a bad review for Jay's Towing. He did
I didn't
this.
do that for the record.
We have it screenshotted.
I got screenshots of all this. Okay, but this is what that incident is, which she says all this saying, hey, leave bad reviews. So I get 20 reviews from people from California, from everywhere across the country, leaving my company bad reviews and dealing issues with them. And then I'm stating facts, like, yes, yes, things like this happen. It's an accident. That's why I have insurance. I said, you should be glad that I'm one of the companies who have insurance and who's able not, who's can deal with this. But what blows me is that has nothing to do with non-consensual license.
In which our insurance is dealing with that situation.
The non-consensual license is me dealing with business owners who's giving me permission to tow vehicles from their property.
Well, it's not directly related, but your general business practices
but
and
this
demeanor.
is 2-3 miles away from her.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear that the way you behave anywhere in the city of Milwaukee is potentially relevant to this license.
Yeah, I understand, but she's looking at the negative stuff and trying to, make my character seem bad, but she's not saying that how she's yelling at me and being disrespectful when the police officer's telling me and dealing with me, hey, just go in the car because
you were disrespectful and doing too much.
I have it on recording.
And for the record, my insurance settled for $4,800. So for that, I had a Honda. Hondas have great value. It wasn't just it was my driver's side door, my passenger side door.
I have pictures.
All of that. You can have pictures, but I know what my insurance settled
I'm not
out
sure
for me
we're going to
for.
litigate that.
Yeah,
But
this has nothing to do with this.
The care and lack of responsibility and this attitude that you guys are seeing. Yes, he was like, hey, I make $1 million a year. I don't need to go through all of that type of attitude. That, of course, that would make me extremely upset to the point where I need to go on my business. But when somebody's car is hit, and the potential for a personal endangerment in my business district and the in front of the business we have high traffic and we see high pedestrians, lots of cars, all of that. For that to occur and somebody to cross the street ha, my bad.
That's not how it went. And the accidents happen.
Well, I will say this. I've never seen this before.
Never.
I just mean, never mind the personal stuff. I've never heard of a car slipping off a tow truck.
It happens all the time.
It does.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Never.
You strap vehicles.
I tell people I got a new car because
how often a tow
truck fell off and hit my car.
How often do you lose cars while
This is
driving?
my first time doing it. It was the code.
So it's your first time, but when you say it happens all the time.
I YouTubed it. Obviously, when I
well, you mean globally?
Okay, yeah. No, but listen, regardless of what other situation.
With this many people on the planet, everything happens all the time somewhere. But how often in the city of Milwaukee do cars just fall off of tow trucks?
This is my incident, my first incident. But if you want to look at the positive, negative, okay, you will look at the negative. Okay, that's one incident. Go on Google review and find who's the best.
Well, I just want to say, for me, we'll have to figure out. The demeanor thing. But in some ways, my biggest concern is giving you a tow license when you can't, when cars are falling off your tow truck. But you're saying it's the only time it's ever happened, and you're blaming the cold.
Yeah. With strapping vehicles, them things get iced. The straps get iced, and keeping it secure on there. I can't control that.
How fast were you going?
Not fast at all. It didn't damage her vehicle. It only damaged the door. And
well, that's in dispute.
Okay,
so
listen. It only damaged the.
Alderman Borkowski.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me ask. Okay, so, however this happened, when you realized that something had happened, if I heard you correctly, you went back and admitted it.
Yep, yes, I did.
Okay. I think that he deserves some credit for that because I think many people would basically have just fled, right? Now, I don't like what I'm hearing about how people treated one another and the tune of disrespect. But I do want to give them credit for coming back and acknowledging, because I think most of us know that that's a rare occurrence these days, that people don't own up to errors or mistakes. So I want to acknowledge some credit there for you.
Although he left the car there, which I assume there would have been a record that you were towing that car.
No,
No? 'Cause where did you get that car from?
It was a junk car. There's no record. When I went there, they didn't have no idea.
Literally would
All
have
right,
never,
I just
they would
assumed
never
that.
proved it was
They
us.
have no
I'm
idea
sorry.
it was me.
Alderman Borkowski has the floor. I'm sorry.
I'm actually done, Mr. Chairman. Well, I just wanted to make that point.
Okay.
As she said, they didn't know I went up there, they didn't have no idea it was me. I said it was me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what she kind of like,
All right. Let's leave it there for now. Alderwoman Cogs, yes, please.
One, you said he's your business partner.
he's going to be running the day-to-day dealing with the customers with the non-consensual towing.
What percentage ownership do
What
you have?
he's
No, I'm going to take over management of, if he gets the consensual license, I'll deal with the customers day-to-day basis.
So will
He's
you,
just going to drive a tow truck.
will you have any percentage ownership
No.
in the business?
No, not yet at least.
You said it was a junk car that you had that was attached that failed. So this everything that you're applying for today is new.
Yeah, it's not. I have my license for my regular towing. That's licensed. That's already done. I'm asking for permission to deal with business owners to go to their properties that if they agree to put my sign on there, if they're having parking issues, to be able to tow off their vehicle and impound it to my lot. That's all I'm asking for.
So, what licensing department? What licenses does Jay's Towing already have? And tell me the difference of what they're applying for today.
Well, there's no city license required to
towing.
consensually tow cars. So
Right.
if I called and asked to have my car towed somewhere, there's not a license that's needed for that. So I believe that's what they're saying, that they
That's why I said
currently
it
do.
has nothing to do.
There's not a city.
The
Just, yeah.
junk car that you had attached on February 12th that got loose on King Drive on North Avenue and Val Phillips was what?
A junk car. The customer didn't want the vehicle no more because it was a car accident. They asked me, hey, we don't want the vehicle anymore. Can you not charge us for the tow? I said, yeah, no problem. I took the tow, took it to my yard, on the process of taking it to my yard. It was consensual. I'm going for non-consensual. Basically saying that, hey, if you're parked at Family Dollar, when you're not supposed to park there, the business owner is giving me permission to be able to take vehicles that's not supposed to be there.
So that car on February 12th, the police did not have a record of it being stolen?
No, that's what she accused of. The
So-
police let me leave with the vehicle.
Okay. Sergeant Raiden, is it a way for us to check that?
I left with the vehicle. I left with the police. They ran
She's
into-
asking Sergeant
I'm
Randy.
taking a guess that an accident report was filed, because if the insurance has got involved, there's an accident report. And if there's an accident report, they would have had to run the vehicle to make sure it's not stolen. I'd have to be able to look up the accident report and find it. Right now, I don't have access to it, but it was on February 12th.
12 or something. Yeah, and I showed him the title. I had the title. I showed him the title.
So if there was mention of the steering wheel being wrapped with a seat belt, is that customary?
Okay, so what happens is Honda Accords, they're front wheel drives. So it was having front end issue. I mean, it was having back end issues. So which means if you're you have to lift it up from the back. So imagine the back is not rolling. So which means if you lift it up from the back, you strap the steering wheel for the steering wheel to stay still, and then you strap it and put the car in neutral, you'll be able to tow it. So if it's a front wheel drive car, you only can lift it from the front, the back rolls. But if you lift it from because they get all the traction from the front. So what I did is put it in neutral, the transmission, lift it up from the back because it was having back wheel problems, and then lift it from the back, then that way the front wheel still spins.
So my question is it customary
Yeah, it's
to
just locking
wrap-
the steering wheel.
Yes.
That's all it is. All the strapping, the steering. I don't see how a stolen car with a strapped steering wheel to the thing is that even possible for anybody even to drive? Because if the steering wheel is locked, can nobody drive the car? That's the steering wheel. If the steering wheel is locked, only thing is go straight. I don't know how can they say somebody might have stole that or was driving that because it wouldn't even be possible to steer left or right.
The accident happened on February 2nd, Saturday, February 2nd. I got a new car delivered on February 15th. I had just returned from Chicago on February 2nd. It wasn't the 12th. Regardless of the damage that occurred, you're towing a car. I don't care if it's a junk car. I don't see how other businesses would trust this company to tow cars off their lot without it being damaged in any way. Or give him since it was too cold and winter is 6 months out the year in Wisconsin, have his license only valid for months that do not snow or have colder inclement
Require
weather.
a license to do what I was doing that day. It doesn't require a license.
Consensual or non-consensual?
But now you're trying to determine that who determines want to do business.
Alderman Cox has the floor.
I don't know what other questions my colleagues may have or not, but I'm going to tell you, one, the fact that the car fell off at all makes me question your towing abilities and acumen, and only by the grace of God was a human being not injured.
You're right.
That's just serious regardless of the vehicle injuries and all of that. But you are, like you said, the state allows you to be able to do consensual towing, and you're here requesting non-consensual towing. And I think we as members know, because we've dealt with different towing legislation, and we've dealt with people with complaints against towing people, that those complaints come from the non-consensual license.
Correct.
So your ability to deal with those whose cars you are non-consensually towing will have an impact on everything.
Right.
The demonstration, not even what the witness says happened on February 2nd, but what you're demonstrating today makes me question your ability to deal effectively with customers, particularly in a non-consensual towing situation. Already high stress, already high pressure, people upset, all of that. Exactly what you faced when you came back to get the car you dropped and more is what you're going to see. They were upset because the car has been crushed and all of that. You're going to have people upset because you're taking their car. And if you get into arguments with people who you're obviously you're the wronger. You're the one who did the wrong. You're the offender. If you getting into arguments with people and you're the offender, how do you think it's going to play back with those situations where the people feel like you're taking their car? I can see what happened on the 2nd being on 10, especially because of you. And again, I wasn't there on the 2nd, but I'm here right now. And I see even with your energy, with your responses, you are controlling yourself. And it's obvious to me, just in a human being
She's
way.
here only for a personal issue.
You controlling yourself right now. And if this is you controlling yourself, I'm concerned about a non-consensual license and how you going to act with residents that you are taking their car. And couple that with you not latching stuff right and cars swinging on the middle of the street and coming off. Normally I try to reserve opinions and wait to the end and blah. It's no way on earth. I don't know what my colleagues gonna do, but it's no way on earth that I can support a non-consensual license with you, because I already know we're going to get complaints. You're going to be right back here with other citizens saying how they got into it with you when you came to non-consensually tow their vehicle.
Can I
There's
address?
no way on earth that I'm going to support that. And again, it's not just from the complaints that this witness brought forward. It's your own behavior right here at the table.
This is a personal issue that she's having. So this is
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you.
But I would be the
personal.
Ms. Cox, I will be the one dealing with the customers on a day-to-day with everybody.
But you have no ownership.
And I'll say this. I actually was going to make the very same point that, there's a reason the state says just go ahead and consensual tow, and there's a reason the city has a license for non-consensual tows, because there is the very high likelihood that you're going to have very angry people, and there's a lot of regulation for that.
Can I say something?
Do you really want to interrupt me right now? You think that's a good idea?
No.
Okay. You'll have a chance. I'll give you a closing. But if you're going to have a lot of interactions with angry people, and some of them you might be, quote, in the right legally because I would hope all of them you're in the right legally and that you're legally towing their car, but they're not going. Nobody's happy to have their car legally towed non-consensually. So you're going to have a lot of angry people, and I really want to underline what Alderwoman Cogg said about it's not just the testimony of this witness here; it's the way even just now saying, "Oh, it's a personal issue." Well, sure, it's a personal issue related to the way you conduct your business. So to try to diminish her complaint by saying it's personal. I mean, yeah, I would take it personally if my car was damaged while I was working, and I would want the business that damaged my car to behave responsibly and respectfully. And it's clear what happened. And then I would also underline that normally this committee knows, and the bartenders are coming up I don't want to jinx it, but soon. This committee knows that I generally am very, maybe the word is forgiving, of people with recent criminal records, because I think, hey, even if you've behaved criminally, we want people to get back on their feet and have jobs doing whatever. But in this case, I think I was ready to say the fact that you got a disorderly conduct in 13, 14, and 17, and some, one was a threat to a law enforcement, battery, threat to a judge, but which did get, I think, reduced or became just a disorderly conduct. But the pattern of that, with what we're hearing today, I just really want to underline what Alderwoman Cogg said. I have strong concerns about this exact kind of license, given your approach. But yes, please tell us what you'd like to tell us.
Okay, so with the non-consensual, that's in my head. If I'm doing something, we have to deal with them, and before we have to take pictures. We have to give them the opportunity to take their vehicle. That's by law. I have to give them that vehicle.
You mean the drop fee?
Yeah, we have the drop fee. And so if somebody, hey, I have to give them that. I can't. There's nothing I can do about that. I have to abide by that law. The reason why is personal with me and between her is because what she did. She literally went out and had people post things about my business, which offends me. If she was mad and upset, cool. If the people who was involved, I understand that, cool. But when you're involving everybody else, now it becomes personal. That's why.
That's going to happen to you. If you non-consensual tow, people are going to blast you on Facebook when you take their car.
For the record,
it's going to happen all the time.
For the record, sir, that's the only complaint ever. If you go look at Jay's Towing, that situation is literally the only bad review. If you look at every other satisfied customers, there's hundreds of satisfied customers, 5 stars. There's not a tow truck company that comes close to his reviews.
Well, you've been doing consensual this whole time.
But everybody else doing consensual too.
Yeah.
You dropped the car, though.
It was an accident. Accidents
You
happen.
dropped the car.
I've never heard of that happening.
In a business district with high pedestrian traffic and high vehicle traffic. And that to me is like, I just got back from Chicago. My friend just entered the building after parking in front of me, no less than 2 minutes after he was in our building.
If he'd been opening his car door.
If he had been opening the car door, if he had, I parked a little bit in front of our walkway. I know which path he took or what have you. That vehicle ended up on the sidewalk. That is scary to me. We've seen several accidents at that intersection because of irresponsible driving. And like literally, when I tell people, hey, I got a new car, oh, what happened? My car got hit by a car that dropped off a tow truck. That does not happen.
Well, you could YouTube it.
I could YouTube it.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to make light of it.
I should have Googled it.
I will give you a chance to respond. Are there any other questions from committee? I'll give you a closing before we go into committee.
Okay, so I'm going to be able to tow. That's a fact, okay? So I'm going to be able to tow. So in my head, I just don't understand how that pertains to somebody giving me permission to tow off their property. If two agreement people is agreeing that I can do it, I don't see how that affects this situation or that situation.
Does it make the point I made earlier?
I understand your point. I understand what you're
saying. This is a data point for us. We're trying to determine, is this a good idea? Mm-hmm. And you saying you don't even see the connection concerns me.
No, what I'm saying, I understand now. So to speak about your point is now you saying that because I had disorderlies and everything like that.
Which by themselves I would put to the side.
Which is kind of a high risk situation. Yeah. Which I do understand that. But I'm the boss. I hire employees. I have employees. I'm a felon. I'm not going to be dealing with that part of the business. I'm going to be doing the consensual towing. I do know myself. I do know I'm very. I will. I'm not gonna argue that point. But I do know the people that I may hire, they may have firearms. The people that I may hire, that it's going to be people that can deal with that. I can't deal with that. That's why he comes in play. That's why he can deal with. I know me.
So well, then probably he.
No,
so
no, but
okay.
see, regardless, you're going to ask me to do the license through somebody else's name or whatever. But it's my business.
No, that's more honest.
I can probably go. I can go that route, but that's not. It's my business. I do know that I'm going to separate myself.
But you're
from
saying
that.
you're not going to do any non-consensual talk.
No, I know me.
We'll have drivers and
I got 4 employees now. I'm not going to put myself in a situation that I know is not going to. It could affect me negatively.
Well, that is
I got
good.
a family. I got 3 kids.
That is good self-knowledge.
I do know myself. So when you say that, I'm not going to sit here and argue at that point about you.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do say is to take away an opportunity for me and still allow me to do the same thing that she's complaining about, to me, that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
If you at least give me an opportunity to correct or to work around that, and if you're having issues with the past or within the year, then address that to me. Hey, it's not a good idea. But there's always other ways around to get to where you want to get to. And so to take away that from me, he's here because of that. He's here because I know that what you're saying and your concern is the reason why he's here.
So how are you going to function with the business? What's your
I
plan?
will be on a day-to-day basis. Every day I will run it.
Are you going to do the
basically
actual
manage it.
towing?
No, I have drivers. There will be drivers that will be towing.
So you'll be dispatching and doing the paperwork?
Dispatching and dealing with customers. When they come to get their vehicle, they will deal with me and only me.
So,
Alderwoman Dodd?
My question to you guys is, as far as training, you know yourself, you understand what some things that you may have to work on through your business, and you hired this gentleman here to run the day-to-day. I'm curious then, how do you plan to train the drivers so that they can not run into the same situations? Because regardless of what you're dealing with now, if you have drivers that have a similar mentality or any, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
I understand.
First of all, I have the same issues you have. Okay? Let me just be real. Okay? I have the exact same issue you have. Okay, so I do know what you're going through right now, and I am very empathetic. But I also understand what Tiffany has gone through as well.
I do too.
So it doesn't make it doesn't make the situation a better situation. It's just I'm trying to understand if we were to permit you this license. How are you guys going to train your drivers? Like, what are you going to do to make sure that you don't get yourself in a situation?
I interview them thoroughly. I have several hours of landmark form education that I have done, and I'm still doing. And I have some training that we did at the Kalahari in anger management and things that way. I have certifications. So I train them. I interview them personally. If I don't feel that, and I kind of push buttons while I'm interviewing to see where trigger points and things like that. And it's my knowledge of, I guess I would say that.
And me as a business owner, I'm going to decide who I want to deal business with. If you're asking me to do a business that's in the club and 35th with people and drinking, I'm probably not going to get that property. But now if you're asking me to go do residential stuff where maybe things are not involved in liquor and all the other stuff like that, I may go for that property. So I got to be selective of who I want to deal with, as business owner. I have, I'm not going to try to go to a club thing and risk somebody else's life over $300 or $200 that I could be charging. So I'm not going to go to those things. I'm trying to establish the people that downtown, the restaurants that I do have business, that I do have relationships, that want to do business with me, that they told me, hey, go for the license for you can take my lots over. Those are the properties that's why I want to do this. It's not for just to do it, just to be, I don't even have a lot where I can put 20, 30 cars. It's about 10 cars. So it's not that I'm trying to get big with it. It was just trying to deal with the customers that I deal with already.
And how are you going to address the issue with cars falling off the trucks? I mean, it happens. I get it, but in order for any of my colleagues to, change their perspective at this point, you got to give them some reassurance, and you have to give Ms. Tiffany some reassurance. You know what I mean? It's and you have to. So just share with us, what can you do to fix that kind of problem? How do you rectify it?
So what it is the straps that I was using at the time. It didn't have extra clips. Didn't have a safety thing. So one of them has a thing where you can where the chain comes out. So you can't come out. So the ones we were using were just regular straps. If they get loose, it slides off. Now it's a safety feature that we use, and it's basically double locked. So that way it won't come off.
So we invested a lot of money in new clamps to hold the vehicle.
And that's for every truck?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And listen, I got my trucks are $100,000 trucks. I'm not gonna risk $40 and then using the $10 and possibly damaging my business over $20, $30. And like I told her before, I did apologize to her, and I did tell her, I apologize the issue. So when I seen things like this, to me, it still kind of get personal a little bit. And I do understand her point of view. You know what I'm saying? I understand why she was mad. But
And our insurance is dealing with her insurance. It's not like we didn't offer to financially.
You legally had to, and I'm afraid that if the officer did not drive past and me and my business partner were alone dealing with his personality or anger issues or what have you, I don't know. The police officer came at the right time before we had to call anything, but I don't know what that situation would have escalated to had we been on our own.
Well,
Given the energy that he gave us that day, nobody. If you can apologize all you want, but if your initial interaction with someone is ha ha ha, my bad, this is my car, the laughter piece, that like took me to a different place where if I hit somebody, I wouldn't laugh in their face while taking ownership. Because you don't know if I was in the car, you don't know who you injured, you don't know any of that. So, and legally, I wish there was a license for towing companies, period. And maybe that's something that this committee can do or offer up so this doesn't happen. I don't care about 5-star ratings. I know what my experience was, and I don't want this to happen to anyone else, regardless of the type of license this individual has.
Any other questions from committee? We're in committee then.
No denial.
Motion from Alderwoman Coggs is to move denial of the non-consensual towing license based on the,
Just that part or all of it? Because they're requesting a bunch of other.
do I have to be clear about all this? Okay, there is, let me ask the motion maker then. In front of us is a recycling, salvaging, towing premise license. But they already can do that. So is it really just the non-consensual in front of us?
They can't junk cars on their property, so that's the other part of their request today, is to to pull apart salvage vehicles.
So it would become a junkyard
no.
on Houghton across the street from Walmart?
No, we're not.
With a very visible parking lot?
It's not. It's inside. If she is inside, and it's just to take basically catalytic converters off. That's it. It's going inside and it's going to the junkyard.
So yeah, there's a non-consensual towing and transporting, and then there's a salvage motor vehicle parts and removing and or recycling junk. So is that two, or how many different licenses? Because there's a lot of ands and commas and /ors.
It's one application, and they're requesting the non-consensual tows, but then also to deal with junk, valuable metal, and salvage vehicle parts.
So I would ask for clarity from the motion maker.
Has that location previously been utilized for any of these purposes?
I don't believe so, but kind of how we discussed earlier, this license only goes back to 2015 for the salvage as well.
I don't see this location as a salvage junk place either. I just don't. This is
But it's not.
I just don't. I don't see it. So my motion stands.
Motion is for denial of all licenses being applied for today based on the testimony we've heard today and the police report. Are there any objections to that motion? Hearing none, it passes on a 4-0 vote. Thank you.
It don't matter. I'm just going to get around it anyway. Sorry, my bad.
Wow.
There's nothing to do to me. I'm going to get around it. Put somebody else
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you.
For the record, I did jinx it. I apologize to everyone.